As Monica and I continue to follow God's itinerary, our GPS is not always in alignment with God's. April 25th, we arrived at our destination, Front Royal, Virginia. Our journey began April the 8th from Cherokee, North Carolina by way of the Blue Ridge Parkway and continued through Virginia, on through the Shenandoah National Park on Skyline Drive to Front Royal, Virginia. However, when we arrived in Front Royal, our coordinates were not aligning with God's. Every campground within a 30-mile radius had no sites available.
Broken, to cause to separate into pieces. When we think of broken, we think of an object that no longer has any kind of value. The anonym for broken is a line to come into precise position. The creek, which is Back Creek in Hedgeville, West Virginia, is where we are camping right now, is in its precise position. It is in alignment with its purpose. However, when the rainstorms come, it overflows its banks. It appears to be broken. We think that it is no longer within its purpose, but God uses His creation to bring cleansing through brokenness. In this 5th YouTube video, Broken Vessel Hannah, follow how God used Hannah's brokenness to bring the cleansing His people needed through Hannah's long-awaited blessing, Samuel.
1 Samuel 1, verse 2 and 5. Elkanah had 2 wives. The name of the one was Hannah, the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. Verse 5. The Lord had closed her womb.
Why did God close Hannah's womb? Why does God bring or allow times of deep sorrow into our lives? I found a quote from Hudson Taylor that answers this question for me. I used to ask God to help me. Then I asked if I might help Him. I ended up by asking God to do His work through me. This quote answered my question about why God brings or allows deep sorrow. But now the question is how God brings His children to the point of asking Him to do His work through us. Brokenness, surrendering completely to God. Vance Havner. God uses broken things. It takes broken soil to produce a crop, broken clouds to give rain, broken grain to give bread, broken bread to give strength, the broken alabaster box that gives forth perfume. It is Peter weeping bitterly who returns to greater power than ever. God needs our hearts, souls, and spirits to come into alignment with Him.
Matthew 16, 24-26, NIV. Then Jesus said to His disciples, Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul?
Hannah desperately wanted a child, and if the fact of being barren was not enough sorrow for Hannah, she was spitefully reminded day after day by another woman.
1 Samuel 1, 6 and 7. And her rival used to provoke her grievously, to irritate her, because the Lord had closed Hannah's womb. So it went on year by year. As often as she went up to the house of the Lord, she provoked her. Therefore Hannah wept and would not eat.
Why did God allow such a mean-spirited woman to continue to bring great emotional desperation into Hannah's heart and soul?
1 Samuel 3, 1. And the word of the Lord was rare in those days. There was no frequent vision. 1 Samuel 1, 10-11. Hannah was deeply distressed and prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly. And she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your servant, and remember me, and not forget your servant, but will give to your servant a son, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and no razor shall touch his head.
God needed a prophet to speak His truth, even when the truth was difficult to say and hear. God saw how he could answer Hannah's prayer and also provide the prophet he needed. Hannah became the broken vessel for God, and God provided Hannah her heart's desire.
1 Samuel 1, 27, 28. For this child I prayed, and the Lord has granted me my petition that I made to him. Therefore I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he is lent to the Lord, and he worshiped the Lord there. Isaiah 1:19. If you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. Hannah was blessed abundantly. 1 Samuel 2:21. Indeed, the Lord visited Hannah, and she conceived and bore 3 sons and 2 daughters. And the boy Samuel grew in the presence of the Lord.
How is God using your distress and afflictions to bring you to complete willingness and obedience, brokenness? Is there mean-spirited individuals in your life like Hannah's? God takes everything bad, evil, and good and works all for his children's good and his glory.
Romans 8:28. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose.
God had a purpose in Hannah's distress. Hudson Taylor. God's work done in God's way will never lack God's supplies. Hannah did not allow her circumstances nor a mean-spirited woman to rob her of God's purpose or blessings. Will Smith. Throughout life, people will make you mad, disrespect you, and treat you bad. Let God deal with the things they do, 'cause hate in your heart will consume you too. Bobby and I are still praying and seeking God's divine purpose through our own deep sorrow. We continue to share our painful experiences by following the path God has guided us to.
Psalm 31, 9-16. Be gracious to me, O Lord, for I am in distress. My eye is wasted from grief, my soul and my body also. For my life is spent with sorrow, and my years with sighing. My strength fails because of my iniquity, and my bones waste away. Because of all my adversaries I have become a reproach, especially to my neighbors, and an object of dread to my acquaintances. Those who see me in the street flee from me. I have been forgotten like one who is dead. I have become like a broken vessel. For I hear the whispering of many, terror on every side, as they scheme together against me, as they plot to take my life. But I trust in you, Lord. I say you are my God. My times are in your hand. Rescue me from the hand of my enemies and from my persecutors. Make your face shine on your servant. Save me in your steadfast love. Proverbs 25:4. Take away the dross from the silver, and the smith has material for a vessel.
This pilgrimage is to bridge God, his all-powerful presence seen in his creation, in his glory in our lives. C.S. Lewis. We may ignore, but we can nowhere evade the presence of God. The world is crowded with him. He walks everywhere incognito.
God's coordinates brought us to a campground outside of Hedgesville, West Virginia. Behind us in the distance, you can see a portion of the Appalachian Mountains. Thank you for joining us today. Hit the like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. Hit the little notification bell so you'll know each time we post a video.